How we doing, people? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are listening around the world. Look, I've got to be honest. Arsenal are starting to do some business, it seems. We're going to talk about that. We're going to see how excited everyone is. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the names that are being linked and also some of the names that you'd like to see. Get involved in the chat. Make sure you do us a favour. Hit the like, hit subscribe. Big up to everyone that's come over from my channel at Football's 12th Man. Absolute pleasure to see you all over here. And Lee, how you feeling, bruv?
Yeah, all right, like, you know what I mean? So can't believe that thing blew up the other day, like, at the end of the day. I didn't think it was around. I just felt I was just being like, a frustrated fan, like, you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
But, you get some good comments and then you get some really nasty ones as well.
Horrific ones. Yeah, man, that's part of this game, unfortunately. They're just...
do you know what? We was having a laugh about it, weren't we? Like, on Wednesday night, like, so yeah, it's part of it, isn't it? Like,
What's
so
funny is some of these people making comments walk past us every weekend at the Emirates, but don't say anything. Very bizarre. That's what I will say.
Yeah. At the end of the day, look, it's football, and everybody's got an opinion. You know what I mean? And if I think that me and you are a couple of anchors, we're a couple of anchors. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? And I tell you what, I don't know about you, but I didn't lose a wink of sleep over it. Like, I really didn't. Like, so
I do sit there sometimes and appreciate it. It's quite funny. It means that you're relevant, and but I will say that it's actually quite embarrassing, quite sad, really. I don't particularly like some football pundits. I'll say that there are some football pundits out there in the mainstream I don't particularly like or appreciate or think they're very good. I don't go on Twitter and start calling them wankers. That's what I will say. I don't particularly like Tim Sherwood or Jamie O'Hara, but I don't start tweeting them, calling them wankers and wanker I and wanker number 2 and all this crap. It's very bizarre. I don't particularly, I'll say it, and for all those people that do like it, enjoy it. I don't particularly like Coronation Street. Find it a bit rubbish, a bit boring. I just don't watch it, Lee. I just turn it off. I go, Coronation Street off. I watch something else. I don't start tweeting and start hyperventilating on a keyboard, going mad because someone's got something this. I find it very bizarre. But look, we are all different and we've all got different opinions. I didn't think you were I didn't think what you said. I thought what you said was actually spot on. Personally, you want to see some signings through the door and you're getting frustrated. And hopefully, within the next few weeks, you and I will sit together and go, oh, maybe we went a bit over the top. This is looking very good. Because that's what we want, right? We want to be sitting there going, crikey, what a window.
100% we do. And that's all we want. And listen, I get all of that. Listen, football is about opinions, and my opinion may differ from somebody else's, and somebody might like what I do and other people don't like what I do. That's part of the game, and I understand that, and I'll debate anybody and have a chat with anybody. I'm not bothered, and listen, if they want to call your names and everything like that, I don't understand it, but it's part of it and everything like that. And the one thing I will say about it is there's certain people that how can I say, in this world that I can't stand, right? But I would never give them the satisfaction,
no,
of them knowing that, you know what I mean? Like, so I keep my powder very, very dry, you know what I mean? So you won't get a reaction.
Once, right, I had a message from Kevin, bless him, and he messaged me and he said, "Well done, Potsy." And I was out, and I think I was playing football. I was out doing something, and I come back in and I thought, was that meant for me? What's going on here? Well done, Potsy. I messaged him back. I said, thanks, Kev, but I have no idea what I've done. I said, but I appreciate the love and the thanks anyway, or the well done anyway. Congratulations anyway. He said, people are starting to abuse you online. It means you've made it. Well done. That's what he said. And this was years ago. This was like 4 years ago.
I suppose that's
always stuck with me, mate. Always stuck with me. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? Right, this is true, Dan. Right, when I first started doing this, there was other people that were bigger than me on AFTV or whatever, and they'd get abuse and everything like that, and I'd say, "Oh, everybody quite likes me. I quite like it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and then all of a sudden, the more sort of popular I got, that I noticed that there was. I get a lot more hate now than I ever did. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I,
yeah.
So listen, it's part of it. Like, and we're in a good position or in a good place in life where that doesn't bother me, you know, and certain things.
It's not the same for everyone, though. They ain't people.
No, that's what I was going to get to. Like, there's certain people it would probably get to and make them very, very unhappy and all that.
Claude, wasn't it? Claude used to absolutely hate
Claude suffered from that. Claude did.
Yeah.
Claude couldn't understand why people hate him, and I used to say to them, they don't hate you really. They don't even know you. You know what I mean? And this is the concept of it all. Like, is that no one even really knows you, and if they did, they'd probably go, "Do you know what? He ain't a bad guy, or he ain't a bad guy himself." Like, you know what I mean? So, and I get it and all that, like, to a certain degree, and I try to banter and make it a bit funny. Like, someone will say, "Oh, don't you understand this, you knobhead?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, now, if you're in a pub, right, and you're talking to someone that you've never met before, right, and you're having a conversation about football, and they turn around, they'd never turn around and go, "You prick, you knobhead," or anything like that. They wouldn't do it. It's just not. Nah. So I look at it and I go and I try to say this. It's not a real world. You're not in the real world. These people are real, but they're not real, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I agree.
And at the end of the day, do you know the best thing about it, Dan? I'll tell you the best thing about it. And for anybody that's out there getting the hate and whatever, like, is that you don't know who they are, but they know you. And that's a big thing, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know so and so and so and so and whatever. But funny, like, and if they walk past the street, I wouldn't know who they are, but they know you. And listen, things in life can be, you know, fantastic and whatever. Like, you know, I was fortunate enough as well on Wednesday. I went to, like, the year, like, the family for Kevin was celebrating, you know, and that puts things into reality. And yeah, so, like, my motto is enjoy life as best you can and forget about people that don't matter, Dan, that you don't know and not friends with. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you when it does matter, though, and I spoke to Kevin about this quite a lot. It's when friends or so-called friends don't support you and make nasty comments and things like that. Right. That's when it. That's when it.
That can hurt you. Yeah,
that can hurt you. That can hurt you. Like, you know what I mean? And I've had that. You've had that.
Yeah.
You know, like, and you have close friends that you're not friends with no more because of what you do now, because your life's changed. So there's disappointment. There's always that. But, you know, big thing that on Kevin, and just a quick couple of little notes on that. Like, you know, I feel like I need to say this. Like, since Kevin passed this a year ago, the foundation was set up in his name. It's earned over £50,000.
Oh, mate.
Like, you know what I mean? So
that's incredible.
So that's incredible. And at the function, Lorna, his sister, mentioned that they're going to have a memorial statue in South London of Kevin, and I think that's such a wonderful, wonderful thing to have. So people can go and see the statue or the memorial of Kevin. I'm not too sure where it's going to be. Probably like Brixton or somewhere like that. And it's you know, unbelievable thing, like, you know, so some big news for that as well, like, you know, so
outstanding. No, that is outstanding amount of money, that is, and I know you were up there on Wednesday, and I'm glad it went well, mate. And I must admit that is a phenomenal amount of money, and in a year, and I think as well that, you know, it just proves goes to show how supportive people have been, and also how great his family have been, you know. So big up, and I'm glad that's happened. And, you know, he was great because, you know, I used to talk to him quite a lot. I know you spoke to him more than me. And he always used to give great advice, Kevin. He used to give such good advice, man, like the best advice ever. And I used to think, wow, you know, I always used to listen to him because, you know, it was always coming from a good place, you know. And
Do you know what? Right, it's one of the things, you know, like, that's, you know, like, I miss loads of things about Kevin. You know what I mean? Of course, you do as well. Like, you know what I mean? Our chats and all that. But he was if things weren't going good or that, and I'll tell you this, and that's wrong. If things were going well and things were going good, and also things are going bad, he would give you the best advice you could ever give. And he's, like a couple of years younger than me, but because of what he's done and where he's been and everything like that, he had some wealth of experience, particularly in the lives that we live now, and how to conduct yourself and things like that, was a big thing for me. And he said, look, you got to do what you got to do, but he said, don't ever change who you are, because if people around you will change, so it's important that you don't change. It was a very, very important, unbelievable bit of advice. You know what I mean? And listen, I've had some issues with friends and that since I've been doing what I've been doing, and the advice that he gave me about that is I still take to this day. And that they're the sort of things that you miss. Like, if you're having a bad day, you can ring him up and it'd give you a bit of advice, or what was it? What did you say? A little lift me up sort of thing, wasn't he? Like,
boost, little boost,
boost. I'll say. And if things are going well, he'd remind you where you come from and who you are. You know what I mean? Like just little things like little snippets like that.
If it was going well, he'd still be happy. He'd message you and say,
listen, he'd be more than happy. Like he was more, when I was getting a little bit of success, you know what I mean? Like I remember once I was on, I think it was on Sky Sports and whatever, like, and straight away on the phone. Well done, you know what I mean? Like that's great. I loved it and all that, like, you know what I mean? Blah 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 blah. And that's how we was, you know what I mean? Like, but he was just just so happy for you, and the success that he had, he wanted to share that with you as well. And I think that was a thing, like, I like with my friends and family now, I like to, if I have a bit, so I'm not saying like throw money at it, just enjoy what you're doing, you know what I mean? And try and be the same person. I think that's the thing, trying to be the same person that you've always been. And so I miss all that little bits of advice.
Yeah, I agree, 100%, man. I miss that kind of chat as well, for sure, man. So I'm glad it all went well, man. I really am, and I'm sure it's great to see the family as well. So big up. Hit the likes, people. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're going to get into it now. There's been some news about Arsenal today, so we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening finally. Look, judges, let me be real. I think what Arsenal are doing, well, I don't know, but I think from what I can work out, what Arsenal are doing is they're getting their backups in first before their starters. So what I mean by that is they're obviously looking to try and get their cover players, squad players in before they start to go in all out for their striker or their winger. Now, I know people are frustrated by that, and you and I are as well, right? But it looks like there's some movement. Now, obviously, the first player that's being spoken about is this defender. Now, I don't know if you know much about him. Christian Mosquera, Valencia, 21 today. We've made him a priority this summer. Apparently, he's going to compete with Saliba and Gabriel. He can play both right-sided and left-sided. Young, very quick, good physical attributes, good tackling, duels won. And I think this signing, from what Andrea Berta is looking at, is probably going to be kind of pivotal to what the work that he's done. Now, this one for me, there's a £17 million release clause being spoken about. Berta's trying to come in with less than that, around about 12 to 15, something like that. What do you make of this? Because I know people are going to go, oh, another defender, but I'm actually going to stick up for Arsenal and Berta just for 1 second here. Because I think we've needed Saliba cover for God knows how long, and we just ain't had it. I mean, he got injured 3 years ago now, remember? And we couldn't replace him. And I know Ben White and Timber can do a job, but let's be real, they needed it right back. So let's get the player in who we need, and it looks like it's going to be Mosquera. What do you make of this, bruv?
Now, this is a different signing to another one, and I'll tell you why. In my opinion, this is only my opinion. I think it's a fantastic signing because one is young, right? One is going to come into the squad and develop, but hopefully become a very, very good player. Like, you know what I mean? And maybe we sign him, maybe goes back out on loan, maybe it's a little bit like what we've done with Saliba. I don't know, but I think it's a good signing for that reason, right? Now, is it a good signing, right? If you'd sold Saliba and bringing him in, it's not, is it? Everybody be going mad. And that's the sort of thing that's happening with the Thomas Partey Norgard thing,
okay, I see where you're going now. Okay,
see what I'm saying? So, like this signing, because you've got top quality in those areas already, you're thinking that's a good signing, and we you know, he could become a very, very good player, and that, you know, develop him and everything there. So I think that is a great signing, because, you know, at the end of the day, how can I put this? Like, you've got Saliba and, like, say you're, I don't know, Mark Gay, for instance. You're Mark Gay, right? Yeah. Right. You're 24, 25, England international, right? Come to the Arsenal. Where am I going to play? Well, you're going to go in behind. You're not going to get in front of Saliba and Gabriel, you know. But I've got an offer to go to Liverpool or Newcastle and play first team football, right? What are you going to do? You're going to go there, like, you know.
Well, in the World Cup year, you're going to go to the first team.
Yeah. Exactly that. But now you sell that to a young kid, like, you know what I mean? Like, you say to him, look, well, you're 21 years of age. You're going to get games here. You're going to learn. You're going to learn from the best. You know what I mean? Like, the two central defenders, they're going to make you feel better. And maybe in a couple of years' time, like Gabriel or Saliba might leave or whatever, and it's your position for the foreseeable future. It's a better fit for a younger guy going in there, isn't it? Like, you know, than the ready-made deal. So you when you've got top class players, and we had this problem over the years when you've got Henry and you've got Bergkamp, you know what I mean? Like, players can't get in or whatever. Tottenham have had this massive problem with Harry Kane years ago. Well, never got a replacement for Harry Kane. We can't get a replacement for Saka for the same sort of reason. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who's going to come in as, you know, if you're saying like to, I don't know, a wide right player, come and play for Arsenal, like, you know what I mean? But you're not, because you're Saka's backup. It ain't going to happen. So these are sort of deals that you need to do to strengthen the squad and make it better, like, you know. Now, at the end of the day, you're not improving the 11, right? Because it's very, very hard to improve on Gabriel and Saliba, but you're making the backup stronger, which is what you want. So when you can say to Saliba now, you can have a rest, because he doesn't, as you say, he doesn't hardly rest. When it comes to the midfield, my argument at this moment in time is that we've gone. I said on that little rant that I'd done yesterday, 3 years. It wasn't meant to be free. It was free transfer windows. I meant to have said, you know what I mean? But yeah, I've made a mistake, like, you know what I mean? Well, I'll hold my hands up. When you've not made a signing in 3 transfer windows out of 4, what you need to do is, when that midfield comes up, it needs to be better. We needed to go in there and go, do you know, all right, Thomas Partey's leaving. We're getting a better player than Thomas Partey. Now, people will turn around and go, well, Zubimendi's that, like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. Well, I look at it and go, no, Zubimendi coming in is not an upgrade on Thomas Partey or whatever, like, you know. It's a good signing, but we don't know what it's going to be like. Hopefully it will be. But if you'd have got in Zubimendi, Thomas Partey and Declan Rice as if 3 holding midfield players, optional, that's unbelievable, Dan. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people keep saying about wages and everything like that, and save on wages. And I you know, it's a great deal, right? And whatever, like. Well, all right, then let's be really honest about it. Then, if it's a great deal, it's great business. Declan Rice is not good business, Dan. Declan Rice signing £105 million and how much wages he's on is not good business.
No.
Good for football, though, isn't it? And
Yeah, I hate this good business crap.
yeah, it's got to be what's best for the team and all
It's got to
that.
be the quality of the squad, man. It's got to be
Quality
upgrading
of
the
the squad.
squad.
And Norgard's good player. I don't think any of us have criticised him as a player. I'm
No,
not.
no.
I think he'd do a decent job for it, as Jorginho did. But my argument is that 2 years ago with Jorginho, we're bringing in Jorginho because we can't get who we want, and now we're doing it again. And Jorginho was, I think, he left Arsenal with me saying what a wonderful footballer he was. So hopefully, I'm going to say to Noah, I just want Arsenal to make some big signs, but I get these sort of signings as well. I'm not going to just say like, oh, right, I know you're not greatly unhappy about Kepa. I think that's a great deal. I think that strengthens us in the last two. So I think
I will say I don't actually care about it. Like, it does nothing for me. I don't get excited. I'm not going to lose my head, and I'm not going to go like. It's just meh for me. Like, we are going to see him. He's hardly going to play. He might get cut of cup games. Whatever. It's whatever business. It does nothing for me. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't hurt me. I'm a bit annoyed that it's another Chelsea reject. But that seems that we need to keep going for these. Like every season, we got to have one, haven't we? Whether it's Sterling, Havertz, Jorginho, we got to have one. You know, we can't go without one. David Luiz, Willian, we got to keep going with this. You know,
we've had a few.
So we've had quite a few. Well, the other flip side to them, they've had Anelka, Giroud, Ashley Cole. But with us, no more rejects for that, please. But look, Kepa will come in and he'll you know, whatever. It doesn't.
I look at that and I go, that's good. I know, like, it's good business, like, you know. I know that's a word that somebody pulled me up on that yesterday and said, like, when you say it's good business, sometimes you don't actually mean it's good business as a business sense. It's a term in a footballing word, as good business means good deal for team as well. So I get that. So when people say, it's good business, they're not actually looking at it. They're looking at it a different way. So I think Kepa has been a very good deal for us, and I think that it does strengthen us. I think Norgard will be a good solid backup for us, like, you know what I mean? But I fear that, you know what I mean, like with me, Zubimendi, everybody's coming in and saying this Zubimendi is going to be like, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
Well, we've got to see him play first, don't we?
Yeah, and he's got to get used to the English game and everything like that, like, you know. And you look at certain players that, you know, and people say, like, Rodrigo come from Spain, and it took him a little while to get to get going and everything like that. And another point before, because I think it needs to be bringing up with Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey, what was our best season over the last four? It was probably not last season, season before, when we went to the final day with Man City. Thomas Partey hardly played that season. So, what I'm trying to say, I'm trying to balance everything up, like, you know what I mean? There is a bit of a balancing thing and all that. Now, do you know what? Sometimes you look at it and you go, do you know what? I might have been a little bit harsh with what I'm saying there and all that. And I like that. That's the great thing about debating things and everything like that. But you know, when you go back to this defender, I don't know him, Dana. Have you ever heard of him before? Because I haven't. But like, I always go back to a saying when people go, well, I've never heard of him. I never heard of Freddie Lundberg. I've never heard of Patrick Vieira, right?
Yeah.
And look at Nicolas Anelka. And look how they turned out. So I always give the benefit of the doubt on things like this, if I'll be really honest. But I think personally it's a good deal.
Look, I've got to be honest. I think Mosquera, for me, coming in, I'm okay with it. And I'll tell you why I'm okay with this deal, right? I don't know anything about him. So, you know, I'm not going to say I watch Valencia every week in the Liga. There's a couple of reasons why. One, I think we actually genuinely need that position covered because Saliba plays way too many games. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is Andrea Berta has been pivotal to this deal, and that's what we brought him in for. Now, people might go, we don't know who he is, Dan. Did anybody know who Rodri was at Atletico Madrid when they signed him from Villarreal? No. Did anybody know who De Paul was? Did anybody know who Cunha was? Did anybody know who Diogo Jota was? No. So he's brought in some unbelievable gems from the leagues that no one knew about or the clubs that no one really watched. And this is what we brought him in to do, Lee. So we've got to give him the chance. We've got to give him the benefit of the doubt to say, actually,
100%.
this centre-half might come in and be brilliant in a couple of years. He might not be Saliba and Gabriel, but who knows where he'll be at 26. Maybe he'll be that level. I have no idea, right? It could be a Mustafi level, right? It's the last centre-half we bought from Valencia. He could be that. We've no idea. Right?
I forgot about that.
I know. Forgot about that, didn't you? Right? But we've got to be realistic. We don't know what he's going to be like. However, the other thing I like about this, right? And this is something that I don't think we've spoken about enough. And I don't think people have realised enough, right? Because they're so sick of us signing defenders. I look at Liverpool's 8 defenders, right, of last season just gone. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Bradley. Left backs, Robertson, Tsimikas. 2 centre-halves, Van Dijk, Kenyatte. 2 backup centre-halves, Quansah and Gomez. Right? Arsenal can't do that. We have to go, oh yeah, we ain't got to let, he'll have to play there. We'll have to put Timber there. Oh, we'll have to put Calafiori there. All right, who's your backup left back? Well, I don't know. Hopefully he won't get injured. What happened? Oh, Calafiori's just got injured again. Who you got? Tommy oh no, yeah, he's injured. Oh yeah, balls. So this is what I'm saying, mate. We can't do what Liverpool can do, yeah? Because our right backs, fine, White, Timber. Left backs, Lewis-Skelly, Calafiori, cool. 2 left-sided centre-backs, yep, cool. Gabriel, Kivior. 2 right-sided centre-backs, Saliba, no one. So I understand why we're going for this position. Now, a lot of people are talking about Harto and saying that we need Joel Harto from Ajax. I only think that'll happen if Kivior goes alongside Zinchenko and Tierney and the others.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I think we'll get him. And I do believe personally Kivior will go. There's a lot of interest from Italy and he wants to play first team football, which is what we can't offer him. Now, Joel Harto, I think if he was to come in as well as Mosquera, people will have a meltdown and lose their heads. But I actually do think, as much as I don't want to see defenders at Arsenal, if defenders are leaving Arsenal, we've got to bring in defenders, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? We can't just say, we don't want any more defenders. We'll just make do with the 3 we've got because I ain't going to sign any more. I've had 15 already.
No, exactly.
No, we've got to go and get them, so I understand why people might want to see strikers and wingers, and I understand it, and I've had meltdowns about it as well. However, I understand if they're leaving. If players are leaving Arsenal, you got to replace them, haven't you?
It gets to a stage, Dan, where, you know what I mean, like, Kivier's been a decent squad player for us, like, you know what I mean? I don't think he's let us down very much and all that, but there comes a time when you're 22 to 23, 24, when you go, right, hold on a minute, I need to play first team football. You're not going to get that with those 2 guys in front of you. So you have to reinvent the back 4 a little bit, like, freshen it up a little bit. One comes back in, one comes. So that, you're always going to sign defenders for that reason. I don't like that when people go, oh, Mikel loves a defender, like he only signs defenders. Well, the reason that we're very, very successful at this moment in time as far as league position and everything like that, is because defensively we're very good. Why are we good away from home? Why was we not very good at home? Why was we not very good away under Arsene Wenger? You know what I mean? And we're very good away from home now because defensively we're much, much better. If you defend well away from home, you get results. That was the thing we never did that with Arsene Wenger. We had not good central defenders that could take the pressure of, what it is like defending at home and away. And people go, oh, what's the difference? There is a massive difference when you play. The higher you go up, home and away makes a lot of difference. So from that point of view, you've got to have those, and that keeps happening. Like, like massive season now for Calafiori. I know you're not a lover of him, but this is where let's see what he's like after this season. Like, but he's got to have a good season. But if he improves and comes good there, you've got options at left back and left centre back as well. So there's all these things that are going like that. And also, like, when you look at it, I don't know, but the workload on Timber last season was unacceptable in my opinion for a player just coming back from an ACL. I don't think that was like good for him, and he's had to have another operation. So you had him out for certain parts of the game. Tomiyasu was out for the whole season. Calafiori was out for a lot of that. Zinchenko was out for a fair bit, like, Tierney, who has now left the club, hasn't been replaced yet, like, you know what I mean, and done things for us last season. I'm not saying like these players have to be starters and all that, but sometimes, there's 20 minutes to go from a game. You're 1-0 up or 2-1 up or whatever away from home. Tierney coming on is a very, very good shout to have, isn't it? Like, we've lost that now. So we need to keep those things going as well. And you're always going to have injuries. Gabriel was out for most part of the season, and Saliba for the last couple of games of the season. So our actual central defensive partnership wasn't there for the last couple of games of the season because they were both injured. So you need to bring in defenders as well. Like and there's a little bit of thing of over the years of Arsenal and probably other clubs as well. We are not invested like it is in other clubs. When you sort of neglect one side of it, I think Arsenal have neglected, if I be really honest, our front line. We have not really. What's the word I'm looking for? The issues that we've got with it, we've never addressed it for 1 or 2 seasons. Years ago, it was the midfield, wasn't it? Like, you know what I mean? We ain't got enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We're looking at it now. We've got decent goalkeepers in the club. We've got a decent back four and defenders in the club, decent midfield and all that. Like, so now it's right. Attack the front line and make sure you get that in. Now, if Arsenal get that down, then everybody's going to be very, very happy. And you look back and go, do you know what? And rightly so. This is rightly so. If me and you, if in the next week or so we sign Sesko or say so and we sign, we go with Gyokeres because he's your favourite. We'll go with him. We sign him and we sign a wide and we sign
Rodrigo
or Eze. We signed them two there, right? And then you look at it and you'd be sitting there before we go to Singapore going, do you know what? That ain't a bad window now.
100%.
You know what I mean? We've strengthened. We've got the goalkeeper in. We've strengthened the midfield, or arguably. We've definitely got the defence in numbers sorted out. But no one at this football club, fans, I don't care whether they're are going to be happy if we go into the season without signing any strikers. Now, I was speaking to someone yesterday. Lee, we're 100% sign a striker. Right? So I said, what makes you think that? Why 100%? We've got to. And my argument is that, well, didn't we have to do something in January? And we didn't. So I'm not 100% convinced and guaranteed that we're going to sign these strikers down and be all skipping down to the to Manchester or the Emirates for the game against Leeds. I'm not 100% sure, like, you know what I mean, that we will be doing that. Hoping, yes. But how many times have we been here before hoping and been let down? How many times? So you can understand why people are nervous and worried about it. And until those forwards are put in, Arsenal Football Club are not challenging for a title.
Facts.
Next season. That is that is where we are at this moment in time. So you can bring in your defenders, you can bring in your midfield players, you can bring in whatever you like, right? Until those attacking options are sorted, you know, we'll all be the same boat. And you'll still get a lot of fans, whether you think they're right or wrong, going, it's fantastic, we're challenging, we're doing well, we've come third. We've got to a semi-final with the Champions League again, and we'll be content and happy with that. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not demanding that we win the league next season. I'm not saying that, but I think over what's happened over the last 3 years, Dan, we've got to. I think. How can I say it like? Because of what we've done, we've put pressure on ourselves. Do you know what I'm saying? Like in a mad sort of way. If we'd have come fourth in the last couple of seasons and third, say like if we'd have
the expectation, expectation.
Yeah, like if we'd have come fourth, third, second, and we're going into this season, I don't think people would be going like, you've got to win the league. But because we've come second, there's that. Well, you've got to do it now.
Everyone knows what you've got to do now.
Yeah. So from that point of view, I get it, and that's why we've got to do it now. We have to get through now and get ourselves over the line. pressure on that. Like, there is pressure on that, Dan.
Oh, it's huge pressure, man. Well, listen, let me see if we can actually make it a little bit more positive for the fans and see if there's any truth in this one, because a lot of people, as a player you've mentioned already, are suggesting that Eze is now on the list. And if I'm honest, I'd love him. Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs broke this and said that we've added Eze to our list of left-wing targets. Eze is a release clause of 68 million in his Crystal Palace contract. I'll tell you why I like this deal, Lee, because he can play as an attacking midfielder, he can cover for Saka, and he can play on the left. He can start on the left, probably ahead of Martinelli or Trossard. He can actually, in my opinion, if he plays well enough and Ødegaard continues to play terribly, I think he can displace Ødegaard into the first team as well. The guy's got flair. The guy's got goal-scoring ability. He's got creativity. When he is running at defenders, I think he genuinely does cause them issues. He's a good age. People say it's an older age than they expect. He's not 22. He's actually 26, 27. But I like that because he's ready now to come in and he's playing at his top. He's also scored some important goals, not just against us at the Emirates, but in the semi-finals and final of the FA Cup. This makes sense to me. Now, there are rumours and suggestions, Lee, that we can pay this 68 million release clause over a kind of 3-year period. So we can have three instalments. So we can have 20 million in instalments and then 8 in add-ons. And I think Arsenal might be all over this one, mate. Would this give you a little bit of excitement?
Yeah, because he's Premiership proven. As you say, like, I think that what will give me more excitement about him is that I think it gives us so many more options to break down the press at home games, because you could play him in there and Ødegaard in there. You know, and then people go, "Oh, what's going to happen with Zubimendi, Rice, and all that?" That's by the by. I'm saying you might have to start off with a certain system, and then, like, it ain't working, you can change it and everything like that. But there's different things there. Now, for instance, in that game there, it might be that he's a better option than Martinelli at home games because he's more tricky, can go past players, where Martinelli's about pace. And so, like, away games, Martinelli's on the break and things like that, like, you know. And it also means that you can rotate those front three all the time, like, you know. So I think it'd be a brilliant move for us, like, you know what I mean. Now, my worry about it, Dan, is when you look at somebody like that, and it seems so straightforward. 20 million here, 20 million here. Well, if that's the case, why are we, like, trying to do deals with Real Madrid that, you know, are so much harder and things like that? Like, so listen, I think that someone said yesterday at football, which is a great thing, like, we've had a couple of bad days, negativity with the transfer, so we're putting a little positive one, like, you know what I mean. No intentions of it, but just and listen, it works, because all of a sudden we're all sort of, oh, that'd be good, like, you know what I mean, like, you know. So we'll see, like, you know. I remember when we was going to get Zaha off of Crystal Palace, and then you know what I mean. Yeah. So I'll keep you.
I understand. I get that. I get
that. Like, you know what I mean. Like, we're linked with everybody at this moment in time.
Yeah. I mean, look, at least we're now linked with some players in the attacking fields. I mean, there's obviously a link today as well. If it isn't going to be Eze, I mean, look, we all want Rodrigo, right? But if Eze isn't going to happen, Sammy Mockbell has been chatting on the Latte Firm podcast talking about Kudus. He says, I wouldn't shock me if Arsenal have made an inquiry for Kudus, because there's been interest there in the past. Information is that Kudus is still all the top 6 clubs have checked in on his conditions. He's got an £85 million release clause for Premier League clubs, but I think West Ham would be willing to take below that. There's a long-term interest there. Maybe that is one to watch in the absence if we don't get Rodrigo or Anthony Gordon, who are the 2 that apparently we're looking at in our top list. So, look, if Eze and Kudus were both to come in at Arsenal, if we didn't get Rodrigo, I'd actually be okay with that, Lee, because Kudus can cover for Saka and play attacking mid. Eze can play left and attacking mid. We've actually sorted it out there with both of those. Now, they're quite expensive. I think you're probably looking at 70 for both of them. So that's 140 million for both of them. But if you're not going to get Rodrigo, then yeah, I think Kudus and Eze, as opposed to Rodrigo and Eze, I'd take that still, Lee. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, listen, I think it's a good feel. I was speaking to one of my West Ham mates yesterday. Now, he was saying, I don't know if this is true, but he was saying that West Ham, because of the business they done last year, they've got to sell before they can buy this season, and they need attacking players. They need, you know what I mean? I think West Ham were, you know, in a relegation battle if it weren't for the bottom three last season. I think that, if they'd have, for instance, if they'd have got their act together, the three teams that would have gone down would have been West Ham, Spurs, and Man United. What a lovely what a lovely.
That would have been a brilliant three to go down,
wouldn't it?
Best season ever. Them three going down.
Unreal. But yeah, so West Ham apparently are in that position like a lot of clubs are, which is ridiculous, by the way, where they get 60,000 fans every week, but they've got to sell players because of the rules. So it might be that Kudus comes available and might be at a right price. So, a little bit of a waiting game on there. Look, Robbie made a great point yesterday when we was doing the show yesterday. If you get the striker in, whether it be Sesko or Gyokeres, get that one in now. And I think the fan base would wait a little while for the wide player. If to see how it develops, do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I'm saying? But like, maybe like you can't get the wide player that we want. Before we go on tour, do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Dan. Like, you know what I mean? So I
don't mind waiting for. Let's just say, right. Let's just dream for a second. Let's say we get in Gyokeres for pre-season, right? Let's just go. It'll probably be Sesko, but let's just say it's Gyokeres and dream for a second. I don't mind if we have to wait for Rodrigo if he's agreed to come, but he's agreed to come towards sort of, the start of August before the season. I don't care as long as we're getting it done. It doesn't bother me if we get that striker in for pre-season. We get the players in that we want, the cover players. Right. Eze comes in, let's say, and then we're all waiting for the left winger because we've got Martinelli and Trossard for pre-season, right, Lee? You start in August with Rodrigo coming across the line. That's then completed our summer. Boom. 8 out of 10 window. Let's go. But what I don't want is to be getting towards the season's just about to start. We're still not decided what centre forward we want. We're still not sure about the left winger. I'm not hearing that. We've got to get, these players in. And look, Romano was on a podcast apparently yesterday talking about Arsenal. And he's filling all the fans with a little bit of hope, to be honest, here by saying that get ready, Arsenal fans. It's been a busy summer already. Not quite sure about that one. The best is yet to come because Arsenal want to do way more. He's also said that Zubamendi, everything is done. The contract is signed. The medical is okay. He's also saying this, which I think is quite an interesting point, Lee. Can you imagine the Arsenal squad at the moment? There's not one player over 30. That shows how good the project has been, but you also need to add experience. Norgard is seen as the perfect player. Arsenal have been very fast in this negotiation, and they're going to pay 11 million plus add-ons. He sees Arsenal as the opportunity of a lifetime, wanted to stay at Brentford, but when Arsenal called, Norgard said yes immediately. And then obviously he's spoken about the understanding of Mosquera and how he has to compete with William, Saliba and Gabriel, but he's happy to do this. There's also been reports from Romano saying that Rodrigo is one of the dreams for Arsenal. In order to make the deal happen, Rodrigo needs to tell Madrid that he wants to leave. He has the power to decide that, and if he is to be sold, then Arsenal will be in the conversation for sure. There's also rumours here from him saying that the conversation between Sesko and Gyokeres is still ongoing. There's daily contacts between all parties. Arsenal are on it. Let's see what they decide for sure. A new striker will be at Arsenal this summer. So there's talks there from Romano, who's quite a reliable source, to be fair. A lot of people do listen to him, speaking about us not deciding yet over Sesko and Gyokeres, which we'll come to. Rodrigo being the number one target. Obviously, Mosquera, we've spoken about. Norgard coming in to add experience. Zubamendi being done. We're going to be doing way more. So that fills us with confidence and reassurance that Arsenal are going to do something this summer, Lee. My kind of question marks there are, what was interesting about the squad now with Partey and Jorginho gone, that we don't have anyone over 30. So obviously Norgard's the only player now with that experience. The other thing I think is a little bit frustrating is this Sesko and Gyokeres business. But Rodrigo is clearly the number one target, and we're looking at Eze and Kudus alongside that. I think what Berta's doing is he's looking at a few options in each position, isn't he? He's got a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Now, I quite like that, but at the same time, I hope we've got a number one target in mind at the same time as well. Does that make sense?
Listen, I'm sorry. I like all what you're saying, and it's lovely chat and all that. But when you haven't spent nothing in 3 transfer windows, you've got to have your number one target coming through the door after January. And what happened in January, tossing away the league and everything that's for 6 months of the season, you've got to have your number one target coming through the door from a centre forwards role and your number one target from the wide players. And not the number twos, not your number threes. That is why I'm frustrated by it all. For me, it comes down to what happened in January, Dan. What happened in January, I cannot forgive that. The only way you can forgive that is if you go very, very big and you go, look, at the end of May, you're sitting on the podium with the Premier League, and you turn around and go, in January we had to keep our powder dry, and but we brought in this player, and this is what we've got. That is it. No second, third things and all that, like, you know what I mean, like, you know. Now, I've tolerated and I've quite accepted it, you know, over the last few years, coming second. I've not lost my stuff about that, and like saying, oh, it's all bad. What has got me to the point where I'm frustrated and angry at is January. We went into January with injuries of all of our strikers. None. Didn't have a striker, right? And we done nothing about it. So for me, I don't want second players coming in and all that. Like, number one choices coming in. If Eze is your number one choice, that's it. Fair enough. I'm happy with that. Like, you know what I mean? Sesko's your number one choice. Whether you think it's Gyokeres or whatever, I'm happy with that. Because that's what they want. They have to bring in the top players now. And I don't want to see, we couldn't get so-and-so, so we've gone and got Danny Ings. Right, we couldn't get so-and-so, so we've got so-and-so for a couple of weeks and all that, like for a month. I can't be having that no more. Right? Yeah. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? That's it. Like, you know what I mean? We can't get the wide player what we want, so we get Sterling on loan. I don't want no loans coming through the door no more, Dan. Right? I want the real deals coming through the door. And it's not because I'm an Arsenal fan that you're one of those. No, it's because you've done nothing in January. If you'd have done something in January, and you know, like for instance, Spurs were having a horrendous season last season, right? But they done things in January, like, and people might go, that weren't great signings and all that. But what they done was those two signings allowed to get their other players fit and playing and all that. They end up winning the Europa League, right? We done nothing, Dan. Absolutely nothing, right? We might have brought in Watkins, you know, on deadline day. The ball whisked across the ball at PSG, and he's on the end of it to tap it in, like, you know what I mean? Who knows? But we done nothing. And for me, that is no excuses no more. I don't want to see third choice players coming in or loan players coming in, because we see that last season. We couldn't get who we wanted in the summer, so we went and got Sterling for a season. That didn't work. In January, couldn't get who we wanted to get, so we didn't get no one. So that's definitely done work. So where are we? Get the real deals, please. I'm sorry. I'm not having it, like, you know what I mean, like, no more. It's going to take a lot for me to
with you. Look,
to get.
If we got to the stage where Rodrigo, we're going for Rodrigo, and I couldn't get him. We got Rashford on loan. I'll be pissed off.
Yeah. You know, even though
Rashford
would be a good player, exactly that. If Rashford's your number one signing, happy to go with it. Like, if he's not, that's it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know, we couldn't really end up with Sesko, Gyokeres. They're asking a bit much money, so we've ended up getting Ollie Watkins. You know, that's going to annoy me, Lee. You know, that is. So, look, that can't happen. I agree with you. January was a disaster. The summer was awful. Bringing in Raheem Sterling on deadline day was actually quite an insult and embarrassment as far as I was aware. So, for me, I think now this has got to be a big summer. Now, if Romano's saying it's a big summer, Andrea Berta is bought in. Obviously, you've got Arteta saying we're going to spend big and it's going to go mad. We need to now go and have a brilliant attack-minded summer. I'm all happy for these players coming in as cover. Yeah, don't care who the keeper is. He's hardly going to play. Kepa, whatever. Zubimendi's coming to start. Norgard's now going to be cover. I think that's a downgrade, but we've had that discussion. At least we've got 2 players there now. If we're bringing in Mosquera and Harto still is interested, we're bringing in 2 proper centre-half covers for Saliba and Gabriel, which I think we need. Obviously, then you start to look at Eze, you start to look at Rodrigo, you start to look at Gyokeres. If we get the players I've just mentioned, that is an 8 or 9 out of 10 window for me. And I'll be saying that when it closes. If we go and get Rashford or Garnacho instead of Rodrigo, Ollie Watkins up top, sorry, that ain't an 8 out of 10 window. That's a poor window again. So we're going to find out, aren't we?
Yeah,
we are. What this is all about. Big time. That's what we're going to find out. And, look, we need a busy one. We need a big one. I'm sick and tired of it. Let's quickly talk a little bit about Mars Lewis-Skelly just before we do close. Obviously, we've got the new signing. Him, Gabriel, Saka, Saliba, Martinelli, they're all on their contracts winding down. This is a big job for Andrea Berta now as well. Gabriel's signed. Lewis-Skelly's now signed. Ethan and Saka, they reckon, will sign. Saliba and Martinelli, I want to get your thoughts on these 2 quickly and what you think will happen. Saliba's just gone quiet. It's not being mentioned, which is a worry for me. But Lewis-Skelly has signed Lee. So talk to me about these players with their contracts running down. What do you expect?
Well, first of all, I've got to say big up to Arsenal here. Like, you know what I mean? I thought the video was fantastic. Like, absolutely fantastic. And really, like, makes you buzz for Arsenal again. So well done on that fact. Like, you know what I mean? And well done, Miles Lewis-Skelly signing. But 18 years of age, I didn't expect anything else. It's got to be done and was done. Like, loves Arsenal, as you can quite clearly see, and everything about it. So listen, that's fantastic. Breakout season last season, and deserves everything that he gets. So big up to Arsenal, big up to him for doing that there. I've got no issues and worries with Saliba. I really haven't. I think he's happy at Arsenal. He's never indicated that he's never been unhappy at Arsenal. I think he's enjoying his football. But I think that if I'm him, I'm just going to say, look, I'm love to sign and all that, but show me the ambition of this football club. That's what I would be saying, like, you know what I mean, at the moment, like, And I've always said it, if fans are a little bit peeved off of it, maybe players are as well, because they see lack of business. They see nothing going in January. So they'll be a little bit more cautious with that one there. I think I'm a little bit more cautious with Saliba than anybody else, because he's at the age where, he's signed big contracts already. Like, not this one, but the next one after will be a big one for him. So I think that if he signs, say, like a new 4-year contract, you're looking at another 2 years, Dan, you know what I mean, down the line. So I think it becomes an issue if we haven't done anything. So I've got no doubt that Saliba and Saka will be signing extensions, like, you know what I mean? Like, when they say these are 4 or 5 year deals, they're 2-year deals, aren't they? Because after 2 years, you've got to negotiate again. And if you don't, if you make an indication that you're not going to go, you're going to be selling them, like, So I don't really see it as a problem. I don't. I think Saliba is all the noise that I get and all that is very, very happy with Arsenal, like, you know what I mean? So. Very, very happy, like,
I'm happy that we've got Miles Lewis-Skelly. I think he's phenomenal. I think Gabriel, for me, obviously was very important. Saliba's the one, man. Saka and Saliba. I think Saka and Ethan are going to sign. I think they're going to come next. Saliba, for me, it's just a little bit quiet for my liking. I'm not saying he's not going to sign. It would not surprise me if Real Madrid have not been in his ear already, though, and said, yeah, look, just wait. Don't sign with them. Take your 2 years. You'll be 28. No, you won't. You'll be 26. Come play for us for free. That's what we've done with Trent and Mbappe. Look at them. Jude Bellingham's here. You've got a future here. I know we don't want to hear that, and I hope it's bollocks, and I hope that is not the case. I just think that's what they're doing now, Lee. I think that's what they're doing.
I get that, because they've done it with a couple of other players and all that. Like, but eventually, you know what I mean? That ain't, clubs ain't going to have that. You know what I mean? Like, they got away with it with Trent. They got away with it. They ain't going to get it. Like, I think they're trying it with Kanate. Is it at Liverpool as well? They're trying down that route and all that. Like, Listen, I think with Liverpool, I think like there's a little bit of a a changing of things and all that, like, and it just they went off the boil. I don't think Arsenal are going off the boil. You know what I mean? Like in 2 years' time, I think that if you don't sign, they're I think that they will. I don't think Arsenal will get caught out like that.
I hope not, man. I need him to sign. He's the one I want to sign more than anyone because I feel like Saka will, 100%. I think Ethan will as well. Obviously, Max Dowman is being spoken about as a 15-year-old. There's a lot of clubs that are talking about him. I heard yesterday as well that they're saying, we're going to have to integrate him into this first team this season. Otherwise, he's apparently said he's going to go and try and find first-team football somewhere else. And they're saying he's that good. They're saying at 15, he's like Lamine Yamal type. He's that good. They're saying, like, I've spoken to a few people who are looking at the club. They're in the club saying, yeah, mate, I know we've said before, Charlie Patino and J. Manuel Thomas and Lupoli, like, this kid, like, we thought Saka was pretty good. Wilshere was pretty good. They're like, nah, levels. Apparently, he's as good as Odegaard now at 15. That was the quote I was told. He's as good as Martin Odegaard is now at 15. Like, it's that good. Now, I know you can't really compare that because he's not playing men's football, right? He's playing against the others. But in terms of the players he's playing up against, he's destroying them. Like, absolutely destroying them. And you've seen the clips. Right? You've seen what he does. It ain't like a myth. This guy looks ridiculously good. Yeah, and all these like players that we've mentioned before, they weren't doing that, Lee. They weren't on that level. Even Ethan, who is unreal. Yeah, Lewis-Skelly, Saka, Wilshere, they weren't doing what this kid's doing. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this guy does because I got a bit of sentimental thing from him as well because he comes from my neck of the woods. But I honestly love everything about what I'm seeing and hearing and watching. He looks a top talent, Lee.
Yeah, he does look at top talent. And listen, Cesc Fabregas come at 16 and was outstanding. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so if he's that good, you know what I mean, we get you. And listen, we need that. We need someone pushing Odegaard. I've got to say that, you know what I mean? Odegaard cannot afford to have a season that he had last season. Cannot afford it. We can't afford it as a club neither. So if he's not doing the business, this kid comes in and pushes him as well, like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to see some little whippersnapper taking your place, do you? Like, at 16, 17, 15, you know what I mean? Like, right, I've got to show me thing, like, you know what I mean? So, and see.
I think he'll play the cup games. I think he'll play cup games and stuff like that. That's what I think, Carabao Cups and all that kind of thing. Him and Ethan, I think that's where they'll get their game time to start with. And then when they'll impress, if they impress, they'll get more game time. That's the way it should be. If you're good enough, you're
I've just got to go. I've got someone at the door, like, yeah. So
go on, mate. That's fine.
If you're good enough, you're right, like,
yeah. I can finish it off, mate.
No worries.
Yeah, go on. And yeah, look, good enough, you're old enough, people. That's the way I see it. Good enough, you're old enough. And I have to be honest and say, I truly have high hopes for both Ethan and Max. I think they could be phenomenal for Arsenal. I don't think they're going to go and do the job for us for a title this season in terms of, they're going to need pivotal for that. But for me, I think they're absolutely needed. Let's do this super chat before we come to a close. Gunnar Paul says, my concern is that Sesko comes, takes a season or two to be this worldy player, and in that time, no majors, Rice, Saliba, and Timber start to leave. Love the show. Big up to you, Gunnar Paul. Look, that is, of course, a concern. Of course it is. It's not we've signed Sesko, so that means everyone's leaving. But at the same time, it's if we do not get the signings right to win major honours, they 100% will start to get squeaky bum time and go, yeah, maybe itchy feet is where I'm at. I might need to go to Real Madrid, or I might need to go and win stuff in England with another club. And that's where we're at. And then we've seen this with Fabregas, Van Persie, Sanchez. This has happened before, man. So let's hope it don't happen here. Listen, big up to every single one of you that's here. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the comments and interactions. Make sure you hit like and you hit subscribe as well. Make sure you come over to Deluded Guna at 1 p.m, people. In fact, let me redirect you there now. I'll be on with him. We're going to be talking about transfers. We're going to be talking about Arsenal. We're going to be talking about football in general. So go show some love to Deluded Guna at 1 p.m. And I will be back tonight on my channel at 6 p.m. with the This Is London crew. It will be me, Deji, Lawless, and Don talking about transfers. And there's going to be some debates in that. I know you guys follow and love that show. And I haven't done one for a while. So I thought we'd get the crew together. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening with transfers and where their heads are at with their clubs. And come show some love at 6 p.m. tonight, because that's where we'll be. So until then, we'll see you next time. We're out of here. Go and show some love to Deluded. I'll send you over there now, and I'll see you there at 1. And yeah, we'll see you next time, people. We're out of here.